What's up, everybody? Welcome to BzG's official Deadpool the movie review. My name is Barrett Courtney, and here, joined with me, is my favorite chunky punk, Ricky Baldazan. What's up, Ricky?
So stressed out.
we left the movie theater about an hour ago. We had to drop off Henry because Henry saw it with us.
Yep.
And then we finally came back over here, and we have not talked about it like once. We've not said anything whatsoever. So here's your spoiler warning. I just want to, at first, before we get into spoilers, though, how did you feel generally about the movie? Like leaving it.
I really liked it.
You really liked it? Okay.
I really liked it.
Okay, alright.
I still have, things to say about it.
Yes, definitely. And that's the whole point of this video.
But I think, overall, I really liked it.
Okay, and I'm in the same boat. It definitely has its flaws, and we will get into that. But as first impressions, we both really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And so now we're getting into spoiler shit right here. The first thing I want to talk about is mainly just Ryan Reynolds and his
take on the character.
Take on Deadpool. Because I remember this movie has been in development hell ever since Origins Wolverine.
Yeah.
This was one of the things where, I always thought, it's never gonna happen.
Yeah, after Origins...
It's a cool dream that Ryan Reynolds is chasing after, but he's never gonna get it. And then...
The moment Origins, came out and I watched it, it was, official, any hope of, the movie being made and Ryan Reynolds still being Deadpool was so dead.
Yeah. And then...
so Deadpool.
And then... Fuck you. So, and then, the test footage got revealed, and then the response to that was so positive. Yeah. The only reason this movie is becoming a thing is because that test footage got leaked.
That directly.
And I remember, when it was officially announced and all this stuff, I had a lot of conversations with our good friend Ian where I said, I really don't see Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool. And then he asked me, well, who do you see playing Deadpool? And I can never come up with an answer. Now, after seeing this movie, there's no one else who could play Deadpool. Absolutely no one else.
I would always have the same conversation with Rasan.
Your good friend Rasan.
Yeah, because he's actually surprisingly a huge Marvel fan. That surprisingly knows his shit as well. Because he doesn't look like it. And we kept...
How does one look like a Marvel fan? Looking like Daniel Fielding?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. Secret Wars is everything. Apparently. Secret Wars and Spidey.
So the story was interesting. Very not like the... It had similar traits to the Deadpool origin in the comics where he's Weapon X and he's in the same program that Wolverine is in. And it was a little different this time around. I believe in the comics, he also has cancer. And and then he gets put into this program. In the movie, he
has
cancer. And he enlists in a government program, which he finds out isn't a government program.
And he gets convinced by Glenn from The Ringer, that one Johnny Knoxville movie, and Galaxy Quest.
Yes. Was that what he was from? I was trying to make out where the fuck he was from.
He's in that 4-person alien group with Dwight from The Office.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole time I was like, where the fuck is this guy from? Yeah. Anyway... He enlists into this program and gets tortured to the point where his mutant powers start showing.
Yeah, they start activating.
And to do this program, he left his girlfriend, who thought he was dead and all of this stuff. And once Deadpool gets his powers, how he puts it throughout the movie, he looks really fucking ugly. And the entire movie is
ball sack with teeth.
A ball sack with teeth. And the plot of it mainly is him trying to go after the scientist who gave him his mutant powers and make him not ugly anymore, so he can go back to his really hot girlfriend.
Yeah.
So how did you feel about the plot itself and just the overall arc, I should say?
I expected it. It was like a typical first movie for like first wave movie for a superhero. It's always like slightly origin, if not completely origin story.
Yeah.
With a slight twist from the comic books. I believe in the comic books he got his name for like the same reason, like it was a same kind of like Deadpool thing. But I think
in
I
the
remember
movie, it's like
he
frequents this bar, and like it's all these mercenaries who go to this bar, and there's like a pool, like a money pool, like of who they think will die next or whatever, and it's called the Deadpool. So that's where they get his name.
Right in the comics, I think it's the people working at the facility that he goes to, and they have a pool going. Yeah. But yeah, they made slight changes, but I think they still did it well. Yeah. It worked. I loved the way that it wasn't a complete origin story. We kept going back and forth kind of as like...
So let's talk about this a little bit, because I actually thought this was really weird and the pacing was really, really off because of this. So how the movie plays out, and this was mainly just like an editing sort of weird editing choice, I should say, is it's this whole back and forth of how we learn of why he gets all of his powers is all through flashbacks, and it constantly keeps cutting back and forth to present and to the flashback for like the first, I want to say for like the entire first hour of the movie.
Yeah, it was like the 3/4 of the movie was going back and forth.
And it felt really, really weird to me.
I felt like someone was pushing me throughout the whole movie, to get to the point.
Yes, and especially at one point where it goes to the whole facility blowing up and taking down that point was really long, and because of that, like the pacing felt really off for the most of the movie for me. So it kept taking me out a lot.
I kept coming back to life and like thinking like, oh, we've been here for a while. Is it almost done? I was like, I hope it's not almost done. Yeah. I just kept feeling like the end of the movie was around the corner throughout the whole thing, and that kind of made me uncomfortable.
And let's talk about some of the other actors and characters who are in the villain. His name is Francis Freeman.
I'll fucking spell it out for you.
He got his name from a cleaning bottle because the scientist who gives him his powers named himself Ajax, but his real name is Francis, and Deadpool makes fun of him the entire time for having such a dorky name.
I just loved the part where like he looks up and he says that I'll fucking spell it out for you. It was just you, me and one other guy was like dying. He died for a second. We're really loud.
So yeah, you have the villain, and the villain was okay.
I didn't really like I didn't hate him or anything. I was just kind of like, who the fuck are you?
Yeah, who was that from the comics? Like, I have no
I don't remember the comics already,
and I don't remember his sort of second in command person, the woman or whatever. Yeah. I didn't know who any of these villains were, which was sort of a down point for me of like when they're having their big fight at the end. I was like, yeah, all of this action stuff is really cool, and the fighting scenes were actually really well thought out. But like, I was still like, who the fuck are these people?
Yeah, and like I didn't feel like I've got to know any of the you like Deadpool because he's fucking Deadpool. We already have a relationship with that character.
You don't really need to like. It's because it's a movie and they're trying to show people who don't particularly know who Deadpool. He even says like, you must be wondering like, your boyfriend told you that this was a superhero movie, but you know, I made this guy into a shish kebab.
When he's holding him with the fucking swords.
So that was a weird thing for me, is that a lot of Marvel movies. Oh god, I got like a booger or something.
I hate when that happens. It's like,
do I have something in my nose?
Oh, you're good. No, I'm good. Caves are clean. Just do one solid. There you go.
I feel like this did crack with. I don't know who does crack that we know. You?
Me.
So yeah, it was just like weird because especially the Disney Marvel movies are a huge victim to this. Of they have always have weak villains, and this was a weird of like, this wasn't a Disney Marvel movie, but had a weak villain, and it was like, we didn't even know who the villain was.
Yeah.
So that was like a huge...
To the point where I forgot that his name was Francis and or Ajax. I just knew him as like a guy in a
like a basic ass British guy.
Like he was from like
Game of Thrones.
Yeah, like,
and that was the thing that disappointed me. He's a really good actor, and he's phenomenal. He was phenomenal as his character in Game of Thrones, and he left the show to do this movie. And like the entire time, I was like, man, I'm really disappointed he left Game of Thrones
for like this
like in a phenomenal character. He was really good. I forget the character's name because it's been so long since I've given a fuck about Game of Thrones.
I don't even fucking remember.
But and then they replaced his character with someone else who wasn't as good because he was so good at that role. And I was disappointed. I was like, man, like he left this like really good role that suited him for this like basic ass like British villain role.
Yeah.
And like, but the writers knew what they were doing with that because the movie did something smart at the beginning where, you know, where you have, like, your beginning credits of, like, oh, starring blah, 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 and directed by whatever. Yeah. It was really funny of, like, they didn't actually show, like, any of, like, Ryan Reynolds or all these actors. It was, like, an actor sent from God, a moody teen,
an overpaid prick.
Directed by an overpaid prick, and, written by the true heroes here. And then, like, at one point it was, like, a British villain. And, like, they knew what they were doing, but they watered it down so much. It was like, yeah, it's funny to poke at, but you didn't even... Like, you just wanted to poke... Like, you made this sort of weak character just to poke fun at that. And I feel like the film did that a lot of...
Oh God. Motherfucker, that hurt.
Okay, hi, Pookie.
Ow.
Not right now, sorry. So I feel like the film was weakened by a lot of... Like, yeah, there was one point where the only X-Men we see are Colossus and... her name is so fucking long. The moody teen, who was really, really cool. We'll talk about those two in a minute. Yeah. They're the only two X-Men we ever see in this movie, and they make a joke at one point. It's like... It's so weird. Like, this place... Like, they're at, like, Xavier's school for... gifted children and whatnot. He's like, this place is so big, but it's weird because I only see you two. It's like the studio couldn't afford to get one other X-Men. And it was like, yeah, that's funny, but it's true, but were you really only doing that just to make that one joke?
Or was that was like, it's like they keep trying to make fun of all this stuff and like trying to see like, oh, they did all this for a joke, but it's actually what happened, so it's not that funny.
Yeah, it was like, weird. It was weird.
You're just like making an excuse for what you did almost. Like,
it was a weird decision of like poking fun at their own problems in a way, because it pointed it out to us even more, and it made us like just sigh a little more of like, yeah, like we get it, like there aren't any other characters in this movie, thanks. So it was just like weird little decisions like
it felt empty because of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the Xavier school is supposed to be like so busy and everything. It felt like a sitcom almost.
Yeah. But those moments were really only few and far between, and a lot of the comedy actually was really fucking on point. And
are we plugging Jack's band?
But to be honest though, fuck.
Sorry,
you're a jackass.
I'm so sorry.
Jesus Christ. Okay, the comedy actually was really, really on point for a lot of the movie, and this was one of those movies, like the trailer. When I saw that first trailer, I was like, oh man, this really seems like the trailer, the kind of trailer where they're trying to put all of their funny parts into the trailer. No, they held back.
Yeah.
And I was so happy when I realized that. I was like, oh shit, like they put in like the not as great jokes in the trailer.
Yeah.
And they really hid away all of their gems for the movie, which was so fucking smart.
Yeah. This leading up to this movie, I didn't get hyped for it until the week of.
Yeah, like you really weren't excited like the last couple of weeks when I asked you, like, do you want to do the review video with me? You're like, yeah, sure.
Yeah. Because it still felt so forced. And now I understand why. It's that same reason they put all of the bad, like the worst jokes out of the good jokes that they had in the trailers, and then everything came out in the movie, and he didn't seem so forced anymore. He was actually the character. He was actually Deadpool.
He was actually Deadpool.
Fucking
and
worked.
Then, before we talk more about Ryan Reynolds' performance and the way they wrote Deadpool. Let's talk about your bae, Colossus.
Colossus.
Shit, we're recording on my phone. I can't look it up. But also the other X-Men too, who's in that movie. They were fun, and because this is the first time we've seen actual Colossus, Russian Colossus, who's in like the actual,
not like American Pretty Boy being Colossus. It's like actual Russian, as Henry would say, strong like beat.
They brought in a good dynamic too of you had like the moody teenager who Colossus is like being like a big brother to, like taking her out into the field for the first time. And like also trying to bring in Deadpool and being like, hey, you'd be a good X-Men. He's like trying to be like the smart voice in Deadpool's head, which I liked that relationship that they were building there. But it was sort of one of those things throughout the movie. I was like, man, like I feel like the only reason they put Colossus in here is because they couldn't figure out a way of how to explain Cable yet.
True. Yeah, that's it. I think that's exactly why.
So. But I did like Colossus. Whoever played him was really good at the role, and then whoever.
Yeah, I thought I was gonna be upset.
Negasonic Teenage Warhead.
Yeah,
is that her name?
I think so.
Okay,
I mean that's the closest we're gonna get to.
That's the guy, but you know who I'm talking about. The actress who played her was really really spot on.
The moment, so I was kind of questioning her character for a while, and then it didn't all come together until she blasted what's her face against that like truck.
Yeah,
and then
when
her
we
costume
finally
came out.
We finally get to see her powers in like the last 20 minutes of the movie, which was awesome.
Yeah, I was immediately like, oh shit, like she feels like an actual X-Men now. She has the costume on. It's like the best looking X-Men costume we've seen in a while. Yeah, because they never really get the like.
Well, because she makes fun of it at like when they first introduced those characters, when like they're about to leave the school to like go see Deadpool. She's like, yeah, what are the X-Men? Just like a bunch of guys just like in like strappy leather suits or whatever.
Yeah,
like, she made that joke, so it was cool to see her in a cool X-Men suit.
Yeah, it's refreshing to see that and not like the all black leathery X-Men costumes we've seen before with like the color lining of like whatever like character they are. So like Cyclops gets like this blue because he's all cool and like kind of like cool pretty boy, you know. Kitty gets yellow because Kitty.
And then so that was cool.
Yeah,
a little underwhelming at times, but still cool.
I just all felt like so late because I knew the end was gonna come. So then I was just kind of like, I really don't want this movie. To be over.
They really held back on like action like for everybody else until the very very end.
Yeah,
which was a weird choice, but it was also because they took so long to explain his backstory.
But I also think that it's reasonable the way it went down. There's a lot to cover and kind of explain.
Yeah, but like I feel like they did that. Like they didn't need to do that though. Like I was playing the Deadpool game and like how they introduced his character and stuff. Like they didn't really give him like a backstory. But again, it's a game, and people who bought that game know who Deadpool is.
Yeah.
And there was just like they didn't really need to like. They introduced Deadpool like in a very quick, easy way in the game, and I feel like they could have done something similar in the movie, not exactly to the beat of the game, because the game is very different in like the humor and whatnot.
Yeah.
Not as strong humor in the game, I should say. So I feel like they could have done something at least a little similar, but they just took so long, and because of that, there are like a lot of weird tonal shifts of like when they're torturing him to get out his mutant power. It's like we spent this almost 40 minutes like laughing and all this stuff, and it was like got like really weird and serious.
That's it was
oh
like,
my god,
it was a fucking like the weirdest emotional roller coaster.
It's like when you're on shrooms and like you're having a good time, and the one guy starts freaking out, and you're like, whoa, do I need to go home, man? Like this is fucking weird.
It was like this. It was like a half hour of just like laughing to the point where it hurt, then fucking reality hit, and then you're like, I like felt like shit for a second because I was just like, fuck man, like cancer blows, man. And then like it was back to being funny immediately,
Yeah, it was
and then I
really
would just
weird.
like awkwardly laugh.
Yeah, and again, that's the problem I have with the pacing. Is like that was another factor in why the pacing was so weird.
I felt like I wasn't supposed to be laughing anymore.
And then like some of the side characters were fun as well. Like the old like blind lady that he lives with was funny.
T.J. Miller though.
T.J. Miller is in the movie, and I don't. Think
like him too much in real life to like hate him in this.
Yeah,
but his character was like kind of like
it was very underused. He was like the dorky bartender, and
he was like a less funny version of what's his face in Ant-Man.
Oh,
like
the guy who like talks a lot and whatnot.
He's kind of like that buddy friend. Whatever.
Yeah, and
because Wolverine wasn't there yet.
It wasn't good use of T.J. Miller, and I think that's the weird thing. I think like this movie is a huge like victim of is like they make great use of Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool, and they put all of their focus in like with him, but then none of the focus really went into anybody else. So you have like all of these really good actors, and they weren't put to good use. It was sort of like when who's the dwarf brother from Game of Thrones?
Oh, I'm never gonna remember his name.
Tywin Lannister or whatever.
Yeah.
That actor, when he was in X-Men: Days of Futures Past, and he played that like villain type, and he was in it for like 5 minutes. So it was like you have this amazing actor. Like
it was just a reason to use a bigger.
Yeah, it was reason to get a name basically. So
the other thing is T.J. Miller is kind of like Hollywood's ragdoll, where they just like throw him into shit, even though he's like one of the funniest writers for shit.
Yeah,
he's never gonna be appreciated for that, and he just gets thrown into these shitty roles.
Just watch Silicon Valley.
Yeah,
just, if you want to see fucking A+ T.J. Miller, just watch Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
Or watch Big Hero 6, because his character's fucking awesome in that.
Yeah, but he's never gonna be that character that gets all like any enough focus.
Speaking of great Stan Lee cameos, like Big Hero 6, oh my god. Never did I think that I would see, in my living life, see Stan Lee cameo in a movie where he's the DJ at a strip joint. Holy shit. So good.
This is the best. It's so the best Stan Lee cameo, hands down. Hands down, my favorite one.
I actually want to do a topic for Talking Shit where we just talk about the best Stan Lee cameos, because we need to talk about that at one point.
Yeah.
But that was so great. And then let's wrap up a little bit here. Of the ending, it felt a little too clean cut to me. It was weird because like in the comics and like how we've always seen Deadpool is like he is never the sort of like winner. He never gets the girl or anything. And this movie was this entire movie was taking its time to like make fun of superhero tropes and like tropes from other like action movies and all this stuff. And then it ends very like bow wrapped and all this stuff, like happy he got the girl even though he's still ugly and all this stuff. It was like it felt very un-Deadpool.
Yeah.
So that was a little weird to me. How'd you feel about that?
I felt I'm excited for the second one because I don't feel closure whatsoever with this movie because of that.
Yeah.
I feel like there's so much more left. I didn't get to see. If anybody makes me happy as much as Colossus does, it's Cable. And I really wanted to see Cable at the end, but I knew that wasn't.
And I don't want to talk about there is something after the trailers. I don't want to talk about what happens because you just got to experience it because it's so good.
You'll see. But yeah, it was just kind of like I was kind of disappointed because of that, but at the end of the movie, I've never smiled in a superhero movie that much. Like my cheeks hurted because I was just very. It's one of the first movies recently that I like left with that amount of joy. I was very happy.
Yeah, I don't think
I was glad for the character. I was glad for Ryan Reynolds. I feel like there's a bright future for the movie, and hopefully
and then he recently said in an interview, he's like, I don't want to play any other like superhero, but I would want to play Deadpool for the rest of my life.
Yeah, it was less like, oh, this is a good like an amazing movie or anything. It was more like, good for you. Yeah, like good for Ryan Reynolds. Like I think like
we really shit on him.
Yeah, he's gotten so much shit.
And I feel really bad.
Because of something that wasn't directly his fault.
I know. Like 2 times, too. It was Green Lantern and X-Men Origins Wolverine. And it was like, this movie was his way of saying, like, guys, I was trying to do good. I was really trying, and then here's finally me doing something good. So you know what, Ryan Reynolds, you fucking did it. You did something good, and we're proud of you.
Yeah, good for you. Welcome back. Welcome back.
So before I want to do a score, like a out of 10 sort of score. But before we do that, I want to talk about something. We get into the theater. Mm-hmm. We go to the Daly City Century 20
as we usually do
because we don't want to go to downtown San Francisco. This shit's busy as fuck all the time. So we go to the Daly City Century 20 and we get into the theater. The theater's pretty full, in juxtaposition to what Henry and I went into for Hail Caesar last week, where we went into that theater and it was like 5 other people, and for this one it was like almost full. So we get like an actual like good middle row thing, and when we start walking to this row, I noticed there's a family in this row. Mom, dad, teenage son, which I can understand. I was like, all right, you're taking your high school student to go see this.
Most of the kids who like Deadpool now are
high schoolers. So, you know, like I can understand taking your high schooler to see an R-rated film. But they decided to also bring their 5-year-old sons, 2 of them. And right when I saw them, I was like, oh, fuck no. Now, weirdly enough, they were not the annoying ones. It was the high schooler who I sat next to, who wouldn't shut up. But that's not what I want to talk about here. Ladies and gentlemen, don't bring your fucking kids to see these kind of movies. And like, you know, they weren't like the kind of kids who were fucking crying or wailing or laughing too hard or whatever. They weren't annoying kids, but throughout this movie, I was like, you are scarring your children for life. And, like, there's hardcore sex within the first, 15 minutes of this movie. And I was just thinking the entire time, like, I was enjoying it. I wasn't too distracted by these dumb fucking kids. I was just thinking to myself of, like, if you can't get a sitter, don't go. Or, you know what? Just have the dad take the fucking high school student and leave mom with the fucking kids. Because, you know, mom doesn't want to see this type of shit. So
it's just like watching Ryan Reynolds get pegged.
So, just don't take your fucking shitty kids to see this kind of movie. Just don't do it. Just don't fucking do it. If you're thinking to yourself, hey, guys of BzG, should I take out my shitty kids to see Deadpool this weekend for Valentine's Day weekend? Our answer is fuck no. No. Fuck no. Get the fuck out of here with that bullshit.
The poor kid was probably fucking kidding me? There, like eyes wide open.
Oh my god!
And all you hear in the background is the "Just call me Angel," and you know what's going on.
Oh my gosh! So anyway, I just want to get that off my chest because that was really fucking like scarring for me, just knowing that they were in the movie theater. So Ricky, out of a 10, what would you give this movie? And then, like, give your, like, sort of Rotten Tomatoes, like, 2 cents and, like, wrap up sentences of, like, why you would give it that score.
Right. I want to give it a direct one. I'm somewhere between a 7.5 and an 8.
Okay.
Or 7.5, 8.5, somewhere in between. Let's just say 8.
Okay.
I'll give it an 8. I really liked it. Mm-hmm. There's a weird filter. They looked like it was filmed with a weird filter, like, some parts like looked blurry.
That's just how film is now. Yeah, like I've been noticing that with a lot of movies.
Like recently. I think we're super spoiled too, and we get so.
We were also raised in like the 2000s with like really good looking film.
Yeah.
So
being a little picky.
Well, no, I don't. It's a problem. Maybe we should talk about it in an episode of Talking Shit. But go
on. It had its issues, but at the end of the day, Ryan Reynolds is Deadpool as Robert Downey Jr. is Iron Man.
Okay.
A perfect match.
Okay.
It makes perfect sense. Okay. It is that character.
So I would give it. Or did you say anything else?
I was just gonna say ball sack with teeth. Go on.
I would say it's 7.5. I think the humor was on fucking point. Yep. Ryan Reynolds is Deadpool.
Yep.
But you know, you do have your basic ass British villain who we didn't even know who the fuck they, like, all the villains, we did not know who the fuck they were.
Yeah.
There were some, like, outlandish jokes that they were pointing fun at the production of the movie, which just made us, like, realize, oh, yeah, like, the production of this movie was really in shit at one point. Like, yeah, we get it. And then, like, the really weird tonal differences, which really took me out of the film at times.
They didn't like ease into it at all.
Yeah, that was like those first 3 things like were problems to me, but not like as big as the whole tonal, like, fucking weird, really weird pacing problems that this movie had. But besides that, I really, really enjoyed it. If you're looking for something to like really, really funny to see, I would highly recommend this film.
I'll go see it again.
Yeah, I would go see it again as well. And it's one of the very few movies I would give a 7.5 and want to go see again. It's just because the humor and Ryan Reynolds makes it worth it. And if you're like me, who's been following this movie and the production of this movie, like, ever since, like, Ryan Reynolds got out of Origins Wolverine, like, you will definitely enjoy a lot of the pokes of fun at, like, especially Green Lantern. That they have.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
or even just as like a little sidebar is the little Deadpool action figure from Origins Wolverine. So good. Just little things like that they poke fun at, and you're like, ha, I remember that.
Yep.
So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us for our full thoughts and review of Deadpool, the movie, starring Ryan Reynolds, T.J. Miller, some other people, and directed by Tim Miller, I want to say his name is.
It was Tim Miller.
This is his first breakout movie. I think he's directed like 2 other things. They weren't really big Hollywood hits or whatever. So this is his first like big hit. You know, congrats to you as well. So what are your thoughts on Deadpool? You can leave your thoughts in the comments below. We would love to have a conversation with you about that. So you can also find us on Twitter, tweet at us and whatnot, and have a discussion with us. If you didn't like the movie, like, tell us why, and we'll talk back to you.
We'll tell you why you're wrong.
And if you did like the movie, we'll be like, yeah, good job. Cool. So thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you, Ricky, for taking the time. It's almost midnight here, so.
You know me.
You okay? I don't know what that was. Thank you so much, people. Until next time, have a great day full of all Marvel superhero movies, much like Deadpool.